All right, you're live.
Okay, boot campers, welcome to your training. We will have this replay going out so you can watch it later on. I want to start off by looking at the two trade alerts we currently have open. One of which we placed March 3rd. It's a pretty aggressive bet on the QQQ with 1% of the total portfolio. And I don't recommend this trade at this moment in time just because we have so much exposure on our SPY puts. The silver trade is actually quite interesting. We actually placed this when silver was near a high and it crashed, but the volatility increased such that our call options actually slowly but surely risen in value, which is remarkable. And I still do endorse this SLV call option, which is the January 21st, 2022. And that's, again, a 1% total risk. Bottom line is if silver remains too cheap for too long, the silver miners will go out of business and then spot silver could leap. And so that's really one of the reasons to be long silver. Also, the silver to gold ratio was at an all-time high last week. And so that doesn't tend to stay at that ratio for very long. So that's currently the bonus trade that I do endorse. Now, our target return on these sort of out of the money puts and calls is upwards of 1,000% plus. So we're going to be holding these for much longer. And depending on just how high silver goes, this could potentially be 1,000 to 10,000% return. But again, it will need a significant move to the upside to achieve that type of return. So far, you can still get in for only 89 cents greater than where I entered. I know some of our members got in for something like 80 cents. So some people are up more than I am on that position, but I still like this. I'd still only take a total risk of 1% of my total account. And again, I might add to this position every quarter. So every 3 to 4 months would be a realistic time frame for where I would continue to build into that position. And also, as you know, I'm also going to be looking at buying GLD leap options in any pullback in gold, expecting that the central banks are going to try to suppress its price as long as they can and punish anyone buying near the high. So let's start off and see if we have any questions on the bonus trades we currently have open. Yeah, Karen got in at 79 cents. Any questions? If you do, please post in the chat box or raise your hand. I can open your mic relative to our current open bootcamp trades. Randy, go ahead. Just need to unmute your mic.
Yes. So you're thinking that gold will come back down, and so we got a couple of gold positions that you recommend. Should you sell those or just hold on to them?
Yes, I'm holding those. Right now, the momentum's in our favor. And I'll probably hold those close to expiration. New gold call options, I'll likely look at. Number one, wait for any kind of volatility. And then number two, I'm going to get a lot more duration than I did this time around, which means I'll pick a much longer expiration. So short term, I'm not changing that position. And I do endorse the silver play right now at this point in time. Jack.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Yes. Is all those put option that I purchased on a SPY, I'm at this moment down like over 30%. Is that okay to hold? I'm so worried because I'm.
Yes. Yeah. I love that position. And remember, we're going for 500 to 5,000% return on those trades. And we have anywhere from 3 to 24 months for that to play out. So.
Okay. We are in a hospital bed right now under the, life support by Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, you're the doctor.
Yeah, just trying to keep us safe here. That's for sure. Okay, great. So no questions on the bonus trades outside of that?
I think Karen has her hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, on the triple Qs, that one's not doing, I mean, it's doing fine for me, but not as good as yours. But just because I think I recall you saying you're thinking in general on these long plays is that you'll probably look to close them maybe somewhere halfway on the timing. Is that sort of what you're thinking here, or is this going to just really vary based on how this, you know?
I think that we have to do a global 60-day shutdown and then roll out masks. So until that's happening, I'm going to be pretty bearish on stocks and try to hold as long as I can for most of these positions that are betting down on the U.S. equities.
Okay, so but if these things just absolutely don't behave the way they should, or what you think, is that something you might be thinking about? Is okay, let's take what we have, exit, go to cash, and then maybe redeploy it again once these things are, you know, at ridiculously high levels again, so we get a better entry point. I'm just wondering what your thinking is on that, since it's so far in the future and we already have, you know, a good return.
Sure. So yeah, these 1% out of the money options are designed to aim for more like 1,000% return minimum.
Okay.
And it's a tiny piece of my portfolio. So
Okay.
yeah, I won't be touching that put no matter how high the SPY jumps in the next few weeks, because I'm absolutely positively confident that the stock market will continue to unfortunately.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I'm making my notes here so I don't ever ask that question again. Thank you.
No, that's fine. Half of my job is to give you confidence in what we're doing. So if you want me to pat you on the back and tell you I still love the trade, that's perfectly fine. I think that's just as important as knowing what the trades are. So that does seem to be a common request is, are you sure this is a good trade?
Well, you know, I realize that when you first put it on, but when things change so dramatically, especially in light of, you know, it's so far out in the future, I'm trying to get into your head a little to understand your thinking so that I kind of can anticipate.
So the QQQ trade, I was initially wanting to sell around August.
Okay.
With the hope that the summertime would provide some relief.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't think summertime is going to provide any relief. I really, truly, I have probably 1,000 hours of research into what the impact of this virus is going to be on the economy and what is the only solution to stop the pain. And unfortunately, the only solution that works is going to create a massive stock crash. And that's going to be not a, hey, you know, stay at home, we trust you, pat on the back. It's going to be martial law enforcement for probably 60 days. And it doesn't work if just one country does it. So we're going to be having all this dialogue about a temporary world government and coordinated crisis measures. So yeah, we're at the first crash we had was the preview of the movie. Okay. What's about to unfold in Western civilization is going to be horrific, and it's going to bring the economy to its knees, and it's going to force a 60-day lockdown, and everyone's going to have to emerge with masks. So until they can pull that off, the pain is just getting started, and there's just really no way around it. And the key thing to remember is it's not the mortality. Who cares about? I like to look at the mortality rate as the least biased metric to predict how bad it is and how bad it's going to become. But when someone dies, that actually becomes an economic relief to our whole system.
Right.
But what's really a problem is the 20% that are being infected having to become incubated, like the 42-year-old doctor in Florida. So if 20% of our medical staff becomes infected and has to becomes a patient, and these numbers are just astronomical, and we're at the very infancy of this spreading. I would estimate that 1 in 10,000 Americans are currently infected, and that number is going to double in 14 days, or rather increase tenfold in 14 days. Sorry, not double. So by the time we're getting near Easter, everything is going to be 10 times worse than it is, which is scary. So I highly doubt that we're going to be going to church for Easter or opening back up shop. In fact, I think this is when we're going to see a more global reaction to the problem. And really, that's what it caused. We need to reset the clock on the spread of the virus. So if you lock everybody down for, I hate to say it, but I think 60 days is what it's going to take. You'll reset the clock. So you'll have a batch of people come out of this in 60 days who are immune. You're going to have a ton of people who are now being dealt with by the hospital system. And we go back to work with masks. And this is until we get a vaccine. So the masks will be required until the vaccine is out and, in the hands of 7 billion people. And I'm sure it won't start off going to poorer countries first. But that's really the only solution I can find that works. Now, the good news is that's easy to roll out. They can easily make this happen. And I think that's the only way Trump has if he continues to, he's been slowly but surely baby stepping towards real considerable lockdown. So that's what I think is coming. It's going to cripple the economy. That's why we want to own these puts and be patient. And unfortunately, there's just no way. You can't print your way out of this. You could go try to give everybody chloroquine around the world and have heart attacks left and right from people trying to self-diagnose their own problems, but it still doesn't prevent them from getting sick and creating the economic downturn. It doesn't stop the fear and the panic. So we don't need the antiviral medicine. We need the vaccine. That's really the way we get out of this.
So Jason, I think a potential change to that curve could be that if some of these treatments do prove to be effective as administered by a doctor, not self-administered, then that could substantially reduce the impact on the health system and the number of people and the number of days that they are in a hospital. And it could probably make a big difference on that.
Sure, but still, I mean, let's just look at the numbers we're working with. So if we have 350 million Americans, is that the right zeros? Yeah. Okay, so we have 300 Americans. Okay, let's just say we decide, all right, let's just hide everybody is over 50, which is 56 million people who are over 55, I think. Okay, so we're left with a lot of people. Okay, and let's say half are 100% immune. Let's just say the young are just completely immune. It's completely crazy for the, and we know that's not true, but I'm just trying to show you guys how insane this is. Okay, so we have a group. Let's say we protect anyone over 55, which means you can't leave your house for 2 years. That's probably not going to work, right? Then let's say of the people left over, that half of them, because they're so young, their immune system is going to be not affected by this virus. Okay, now I don't know if that's true. We're getting a lot of cases that are under 55. They're trying to really hide that data as well. So we don't really have accurate data of how deadly or whether it puts you in the hospital or not. Let's say now that of this group that we're going to infect 80%, which is what they expect this to be. And they're saying 20% require hospitalization. Okay, so we still end up with 23 million people who are going to be essentially losing capacity to breathe. Now, if we give them all the chloroquine and it stops that from happening, you know, maybe we have something that would help reduce this. But if you look at all the data, there's very little data to hope that that's really the case. And still, we're going to be ending up with people who are losing capacity to breathe. So their oxygen levels are dropping like a rock because the virus has infiltrated the lungs. And so now we see the oxygen level plummeting from, you know, in the high 90s down to the 80s, 70s, 60s. So we have a total of 100,000 ICU beds with 10,000 spots open. And that was a few weeks ago. I'm sure that we have 0 now. So, you know, how long are we gonna we can't support 23 million people anytime soon. So if we were to somehow slow this down to take, let's say we just could somehow slow this down to take 18 months, which is when we think we might have a vaccine. Well, we still have to deal with 1.3 million potential ICU cases per month for the next 18 months. So that's bad news for the economy. It's just no matter how you look at it. So half measures to contain the growth of the virus just won't work. This idea of letting it burn rapidly through society and then get it over with would create a Mad Max scene in short order. So I believe this is going to take Trump straight to his knees, the economy straight to its knees, and we're going to have a pretty hardcore lockdown to reset the clock. And by reset the clock, what I mean is let everybody who's already infected go through the process, which is anywhere from a 30 to 60 day life cycle from where you get incubated. It's growing in your lungs, but you don't know it. You have no symptoms. Then you develop fever, shortness of breath, diarrhea, headache, sore throat. It really attacks you wherever you're weakest. That could be a few weeks. And then you have another few weeks of where you are severely ill. Now, remember, all this data coming out where everybody wants to say chloroquine is the magic cure. You got to remember 95% of these cases are surviving with nothing. Okay, so when they come out and have like, oh, 5 people did well, who cares? Because 95% of them, their immune system solves the problem on its own. So we really don't have any evidence to a blind study with thousands of people on both parts of the study to indicate that any medication whatsoever is really making a big impact. And even if it did have a big impact, it still doesn't stop the general problem that we can't stop the spread of the virus. We can't stop it from giving 20% of those people infected the necessity for hospitalization. And the numbers are just still completely astronomical. So this is the math that's really hard to argue with and makes me so convinced that there's more downturn ahead and that we won't be back to work in April.
How about summer? Is it going down, Jason, do you think? Because based on the data that is in Asia, they are their infections is not as growing as quickly as in United States or in the colder weather.
I was hoping that, but here's the reason why you shouldn't think that. Singapore, 80 to 100 degrees at all times.
Uh-huh.
They have the single best healthcare. They have the single best everything.
Yes.
And even though it's growing slower, it's still growing exponentially.
Yeah, but these are comparable to how many people in Singapore. I believe there's almost over 10 million people in and out, tourists and their own citizen. Compared with those numbers and what they're being infected is not as much as in any part of the world, which is the hot weather. I think it will help. Is it? Do you think?
Unfortunately, I don't think the hot weather is going to significantly help, unfortunately.
Really? Okay.
But what will help is a 60-day lockdown. So the life cycle's anywhere from 30 to 60 days of the virus. So if you can get everyone to stay in their house for 60 days, you will go through the whole course. You'll either survive or not. And if you do survive it, you create the antibodies that will be good for these strains that are out. Now that may not protect you from a dramatic mutation of the virus, which is why the Spanish flu, the second wave that came the second year, was far worse. But yeah, so far I have very little evidence to lead me to believe that hot weather or humidity is of any benefit whatsoever. It may be slightly slower, but the problem is that this little bug is just extremely contagious and it spreads without symptom for weeks. So because of that fact, you can't stop it unless you isolate the whole world. Because think about it, if the US did a 60-day lockdown and then went back to work, well, then we would be okay internally. We would have done a great job resetting the clock. But then all the international travel. So it's a really difficult problem to solve. I think it's going to take coordination at a global level. And so who has really controlled this the best? Well, the answer is China and South Korea. What did they do? They did an extreme lockdown and they're all wearing masks. Okay, so we have a proven solution. The doctors in America are the brightest in the world. They know this. Why aren't they recommending masks yet? Because we don't have masks. We got caught off guard. We have no masks. We don't even have enough masks for the doctors, much less the nurses or anyone else. So I think they're just trying to buy time. They're slowly changing the narrative. As you can see, Trump's been slowly babysitting this from, it's not as bad as the flu. We've only had one death. Remember when he was saying that we've only had one death? Let's try to keep it at that. So he's slowly changing his tune as Americans realize that they're entering a paradigm shift where their reality is dramatically changing. So it's awful. And a vaccine in 18 months is a long shot. Remember, we don't have a vaccine for HIV, which has wiped out somewhere between 25 to 35 million people. And we never created a vaccine for SARS. We made a vaccine for SARS, which the outside of this virus, which is the little protein spikes. Let's just look at a diagram of a virus. This is the influenza. This is not the specific virus. The outside, these little protein spikes, this is what they believe is highly related to the SARS family. Okay, so that's the part that's extremely clever at infecting and hijacking your cells. So if we're able to get everybody to stay at home, your body will create the antibodies that recognize these protein spikes so that if they come back, your body will latch onto those and destroy them. So as long as the virus doesn't significantly mutate the outside ring and these protein spikes, we can reset the clock here in America by just simply making everybody stay at home until they've created these antibodies. So you're going to have a huge group of people work their way through the system that are sick. You're going to have plenty of people to max out your hospital system. And you can effectively reset the clock. So we'll have very few active viruses alive. I don't think we get to zero, but we could reset the clock. So I think that's what has to happen. And that's why I have us building a position in the puts. Okay, so that's the scary math. And again, if we shut down the United States and do this, it would reset it for us. But if we have any international travelers coming in, which we will, then it would have been for no good. So we really need three things. We need the vaccine. So they tried to create a vaccine for SARS, and they tested on mice, and it didn't work. What happened was the mice were able to take the vaccine, which essentially taught it to build the antibodies to try to capture any proteins that looked like the SARS virus. And then when they gave the mouse the real SARS virus, its immune system created a condition where its immune system just ate itself alive and it killed the mice. So we don't have a vaccine for SARS. We don't have a vaccine for HIV. So it's really hopeful at this point that we can create a vaccine for this coronavirus. Okay, any general questions about that? And we'll start working on our spreadsheets. And we can open the mic too if anybody wants to say something. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, yes, I see your numbers, and in light of this is one capacity. While you were talking, I want you to consider the acceleration of this, of maybe shutting things down. And the reason why I say that is because I think there's another layer coming, and that is our safety physically. I just got a screenshot of a TV screen from my friend up in the Cincinnati area, where the police department has now shared that they will no longer send officers for the following crimes: assault with no injury, breaking and entering, criminal property damage, lost stolen property, menacing phone harassment, beginning at 8 a.m. today. It's going to get worse, I think, compounded because of all of this, because of exactly what you're talking about. They're trying to protect themselves. I think it's going to put us all at more risk. So I think your numbers may have to accelerate a little bit, because this is happening in a lot of cities.
Oh man, so it's going to be fend for yourself. Everybody's remember Home Alone?
The
Oh, yeah.
Purge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is scary, guys. It's absolutely scary.
It is.
So what?
I think it's going to be more like The Purge than Home Alone.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. One of our members wrote in saying to Victor, said, your son scared me. I've had to go refill my Xanax. I don't want to scare people, guys. I'm just trying to report what data I have and be as honest as I can. But yeah, this is the math that I've had a hard time, just even if we just, and unfortunately, the data continues to not be on the, we've overestimated. The data continues to come in that we've actually underestimated. So, you got conspiracies all over the place. The biggest conspiracy is that the multinational banks and corporations are trying to destroy the little banks. They're trying to wreck the value of the dollar, and they're trying to set up a world government and a world currency, and that they're going to get rid of cash. That's probably the big conspiracy that's floating around.
Yeah.
China created a currency, a digital currency, right before this all happened. I believe that $1,200 they're going to send out to everybody is going to be along the same lines as a digital. They call it the Fed coin. You know, what's the difference between just sending money on our normal Bank of America versus what they're talking about? And so, you know, our money system's already easy to track, even though it's somewhat decentralized between all these banks. They still have a pretty good pathway. The idea of this is that they can easily take or remove money from any account at a centralized location, and track every single transaction. And the other big conspiracy is that this is going to lead to a new, a lot of people like to say, oh, well, after 9/11, we basically gave government ability to spy on everyone. And that this crisis will be used to essentially force everyone to have tracking devices and some sort of vaccination laws that you'll have to be vaccinated, otherwise you're a threat to humanity. So more civil liberties tossed out the window. There's also a lot of stuff circling about what happens if this takes out our government, who's going to take over control, all kinds of crazy stuff. So at this point, it's been hard enough for me just to grasp and come to terms with how severe this virus is, what its impact on the world will be. And these are the numbers that are hard to dismiss, very hard to dismiss. And so that's why
I can share a positive data point for you that I got interrupted with your last webinar regarding the virus today.
Sure.
All right. A mutual buddy of ours up in Michigan called me during your webinar, not realizing I was listening, and informed me, because he is captain, police department. Anyway, he so he has a lot of things going on as well now too. He informed me that he had spoken to the head of the hospital division, the chief medical, whatever he is, at the hospital up there that morning. And they had just done 780, what did he tell me? 781 tests. And he said, Karen, you know how many were positive? Of course, I have to try to think. No, I don't know. I said 50%. He said 7. Only 7 were positive. And 20 something of those people, of the others, had influenza A or B. The rest were negative.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So I think right now I would guess that 1 in 1,000 has it in New York, and maybe 1 in 10,000 in mainstream America. And unfortunately, the best way to know if you know, I call it the angel of death, is the angel of death floating around in your exact area, is to keep note of the retirement homes. They're unfortunately the first who will likely show symptoms and pass away. And that'll also cause that area to really lock down very quickly. So like in Washington State, for example, they've now lost several dozen of the people in that retirement home. But meanwhile, you know, my uncle works 8 miles away and he's having record RV sales, and he likes to brag about how he comes in contact with dozens of people a day and doesn't know a single case yet. So that's a good canary in the coal mine, unfortunately, is to keep a look at your local news and look for cases of the elderly catching it. And so while they can not test as many people, you know, a lot of people just aren't getting tested. The test kit that they do have only has about a 70% accuracy rating at best. What they are doing is testing everyone who's passed away to see if it was the coronavirus. And so that's why I'm now not really too concerned with the amount of people who are infected because I know we've maxed out testing capacity and they're doing everything they can to slow that capacity down. Now I'm just watching the death count. And so I think we'll hit a bottom in the stock market sometime after we've either done the 60-day lockdown followed by reopening with masks at a global level, or after this has, if these governments are just so stubborn because they're controlled by corporations who know they can't afford to shut down and they'd rather just let people die and overwhelm the hospital system. If that's the path, I don't think it will be, but if that were the path we take, then I think we can predict a bottom based on the death count. And that death count is going to be very large, I'm afraid, before we would have enough people who've created immunity and this fear factor and everything's getting back to work regardless of having to survive the sickness. Perry, go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, I was just going to say that in the past 24 hours, 2 people here in Middle Georgia have died that I don't know them super well, but know people that know them. I mean, pretty close to home here.
Yeah, the girl I used to date was on Facebook crying because her husband, who's couldn't be more than 31 in the military, has been caught with it and can barely breathe. I don't know what his status is now. That's the first person I personally indirectly know of.
Yeah, so we had one of the girls that goes to our church. She knows my daughter knows her very well. Her dad died. I'm sorry, he got intubated, and then a guy that was an umpire in the little league system that we played in. He actually passed away yesterday. So it's getting pretty close. And my wife had talked to a good friend of ours who's kind of the head of nursing at a local hospital. And she was one of these that a health professional that was just like, it's just the flu. It's just the flu. And of course, when it was all coming out, Lori kept going, I don't know. It seems to be a little worse than the flu.
Yeah.
She told my wife yesterday it was the worst thing she could imagine. She said the hospital is not even close, and we're not even a hot spot.
Yeah.
She said the hospital's not even close to being prepared for something like this. That their like tragedy plan or worst case scenario plan was for like a bus with 38 people turning over, and they had to figure out which one to treat first. She said this is just like biological warfare plan that we don't have one.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm hearing from everyone.
I have a chart from somebody else who's from a hospital in Texas where they have a plan if they're shorthanded of respirators. Jason, I'm going to try and see if I can copy it and send it to you. It'll upset you, I'm sorry to say, but they kind of took the game plan from Italy, and they have a priority of who would actually be intubated or not, should they need to be.
Yeah, they're having to turn people down now. Okay, Jack Kent says, I saw a post from an ICU nurse in Atlanta. She had thought the corona deadliness was overblown, but has now seen several of young, healthy people go from healthy to ICU in 6 hours. The immune system cannot handle it. They go down quickly. Oh, God. All right, guys, I'm going to give everybody a quick 2-minute bathroom break. Then we'll come back and we're going to focus on Spreadsheet, okay? So I'll be back in 2 minutes. If anybody wants to go take a quick break, we'll be right back. I'll start in 3 to 5 minutes at the latest. All right, I am back. If you're back and ready for action, go ahead and just post a note in the chat box. Wait till we have most people saying they're ready. And also just curious, how many of you out there have 2 monitors versus 1 monitor?
I have 2, Jason.
All right, well, 2 is good for what we're going to be teaching you. Now, the way GoToWebinar works is it only,
I got 3.
all right. Now we got a bunch of double monitors. No way, almost everybody's got it. Okay, good. Well, if you want to try to follow along, put your webinar video on one screen, and then you can try to copy me as we go on the other screen. And if not, then I would just watch. And when you come back to it, you might want to try to pull out a laptop or something so that you can have one screen to do the work and another to watch. Okay, so today we're going to enter some fake trades based on this update as if we're a brand new client or a brand new trader just starting today. And we'll look at how to fill out the spreadsheet, okay? Okay, so here we go. This is my Jason at Portfolio Builder account. Now, I would recommend that you go back and watch the first spreadsheet lesson. I'm going to summarize what was taught in that, but it does spend quite a bit of time overviewing that. And so to summarize, some of the recommendations in that is to, of course, use Google Chrome, not Firefox, not Internet Explorer. So if you don't have that, you can just go type in Google Chrome and find the download now button. That's just Google's browser. I think you'll have the best experience by using Google's browser because we're using Google's spreadsheet product. Okay, so that's 1. 2, you might consider a new Google Chrome profile. So you can see I have all these different accounts. So I have support pops up easily. We taught you how to save different links. So mine automatically opens in the support box with the webinar doc where I write the webinar teaser. I got the yield curve. I've got my different charts. I've got my spreadsheets automatically popping up. And so again, if you create the tabs you want, and then you come here and go to set, you hit 3 bars here, settings. You can use current pages. It'll save all these pages so that when you open it up again, it goes right to that spot. So see how that's loading all my hot links up right off the bat?
Hey, Jason.
Yes, sir.
I'm a little behind. What was the Google address that you go to?
For Google Chrome?
I'll paste it in the chat.
Okay, good. What a headline. There's something funny going on with all these CEOs of the corporations. A lot have been quitting. Jack Dorsey moved to Africa. There's something funny. Anyway, we'll save the conspiracy for now. So you may consider having a special profile just for your portfolio, okay? And so you click on this little button here, and you can see the profiles I have. One of which is called the administrative. So this is actually how I could manage all of our portfolios is through the admin. So it's kind of like the factory where we build these spreadsheets is all managed over here at portfoliobuilder.io. This is also where I design the template, which is replicated and sent to you guys. So right now we're working from this template right here. . Okay, great. So let's, in the replay, we're going to definitely give you a link to the first lesson. And that was really a detailed, I think it was over an hour, where we learned how to manage our Google profile and sign in. Okay, the next thing you want to remember is how to find your spreadsheet. So I have mine right here, this fresh one that was just sent to all of us. But if I didn't know where it was, I would go to drive.google.com and then clicked on shared with me. And then there it is. So it'll be, now I do all the testing in here, so I have all sorts of shared ones. The most recent one is this one. I can just double click that. Now, assuming this is the two tabs I wanted to open with by default, I would come here to the three dots, go to settings, scroll down, click on use current pages. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Let's see what happens when I open it back up. So this is my little icon that Chrome made for this account. Just double click it. And voila, it pops up with those two tabs automatically. So I don't have to worry about finding it every day. Okay, so again, to reiterate, go to drive.google.com. Click on left bar, shared with me. And the one that you want will be the most recent shared portfolio builder, growth and income platform, stock bonds, options. Double click that and you'll have the most up-to-date version we've released so far. So let's do a little review of what's been upgraded and what's yet to come. Okay, so first and foremost, you'll probably notice that this doesn't have the summary of returns per portfolio on the summary tab. So that is coming in soon. You do have that profit loss per month on each individual tab right here. So that's still being programmed. The next thing that's getting programmed is the ability to feed live prices, which would come into this column, in this column. So right now that's been emptied out because we don't have live pricing, but soon we'll have live pricing on our options. So that's actually being programmed. Hopefully I'll have it on my spreadsheet by Monday because I'm now spending like 20 minutes updating that every day. And once we've tested it thoroughly on my software spreadsheet, then I'll put it into the template and then we'll have to reissue a new sheet. Now, copy pasting your trades is quite easy. You just grab the whole block from one sheet, paste it to the other. So it's not the end of the world. Let's see if we could all go find our spreadsheet. I'm gonna go ahead and wait a few minutes and let everybody try to go find their spreadsheet. Okay, so once you found your spreadsheet, let us know in the chat box. If you have any trouble, we'll unmute you. Antonio has his hand raised, Ryan. Let's see if he has any questions.
Yeah, I've been following you and I have a spreadsheet, but it says view only. I'm supposed to send a request to have you allow me to modify it.
Let's see. Let me see what kind of email you have.
Hold on, I got your video right. It's, okay, so there's not much.
Yeah, we might need to get a Gmail for Antonio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is what. Yeah, I think you might have to create a Gmail account to have a good experience with this, Antonio.
I have a Gmail account. I opened it up and I found it.
Hey, give me your Gmail in the chat box and I'll send you another sheet, Antonio.
Okay. It's snoopycologne@gmail.com. So it's S as in Sierra, Nancy, Oscar, Papa, Yankee.
And then your last name?
And my last name.
All right, it's on the way.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got it fixed, Michael? Okay, good. Kathleen got it? Yeah, and if you want audio help, and also I can also put your screen on the group webinar if anybody's having trouble, and I can help you find it as well. But then obviously you have to be willing to share your screen. Okay, David, sounds good. We'll connect with you very soon. I'm actually looking at bringing on a local accountant lady who works for Gap, but also likes to trade, to potentially have a few extra sessions like this where it's just dedicated to spreadsheet work a few times a week. Okay, Jack Kent doesn't have a link to the spreadsheet. So Jack, try this. Go to your, Ryan, you want to check to see if he's on a Gmail for Jack Kent? But yeah, the way to find your spreadsheet is you go to drive.google, hit enter. So we're not searching Drive Google. You could, but that may not get the right link. So yeah, you're looking for the Google Drive. Then you're going to click Shared with Me. And then look for that link right there.
Just ridiculous. Buy trade gold. Some.
Okay, Tyler got his. Good job. Perry, you found yours? Good. Anyone
Jason.
having, yes, sir.
This is Gary Martiner. I've got the sheet here, but the bottom of it doesn't have the same as yours. You have summary U.S. equities. Mine has summary SPY trade, gold, silver. So I have the wrong sheet, or
I think you have the older one.
yeah. Okay.
So let's see.
Great file.
Yeah, look for one that was shared with you today because we just issued this morning.
Yeah.
So see mine right here in the today box.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the best one for you.
Yeah.
Let me know if you have any troubles finding it, Gary, and I'll shoot you another new one if you can't find it.
Okay.
And we could also send you a link to it as well.
Also, I've got a Verizon email for you, Gary. We might need a Gmail.
Yeah, I thought I gave it to you last time we talked, Ryan. No,
I'll go look into that real quick.
I can give it to you again right now if you want.
Okay,
It's only
James.
only two I have is the Verizon and the Gmail account.
Yes, James, it is empty, and we're gonna start filling it out today.
Okay, let's see here. Go back. Okay, let's see here.
Hey, Jason,
Yes, sir.
this is Tony. I got an email at 2:55, but it has a Zoom link on it. It's not a link with a spreadsheet.
Okay, so go to drive. So do this. Step one is everybody goes to drive.google.com.
Okay, I did that already.
Okay, then click on Shared with Me.
Stand by. As soon as I said that, I have to go to my other post. Drive, Google Drive.
Drive.google.com. Drive.google.com. So it can't be reached.
Hey, Gary, I just shot you an email if you want to send me your Gmail again. Sorry about that.
Okay, you want to take it now?
Sure.
It's G, letter G, Martiner, MARTINER, 74 at gmail.com.
G Martin or 74.
Correct.
All right, I'm gonna send it right now.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Jack Kent found his. Good job. Who else has found their spreadsheet so far?
I've got mine, Jason, but it was the old one. Do you see mine in the chat box, my email, my Gmail account?
Uh-huh.
I got it.
Yeah, I just see the February 20. Yeah, it looks like we need to issue Perry a new one.
I think you did.
Okay, Jason, I'm at the share with me,
Okay.
and I see the portfolio builders says last week, last month.
Do you have one today?
Let's see, today would be today.
Okay, so it'll be shared today. We just issued the new sheets today.
So
And
double click on it. It's open.
Yep, and it should pop up.
Okay.
Now, Ryan, I think Perry needs a new one issued with that Gmail that he just posted right there, because I looked in the drive and I don't see the new one for there.
Okay, let me look. Sorry, I'm flying all over.
Yeah, and then Jack Kent may as well. And some new folks joined. Ronald, Naomi, Jack, George, Howiyak. Welcome. We're working on our spreadsheets today.
So how do we save them, Jason, for our own personal use?
Yeah, so this is a Google Drive. So this is your individual spreadsheet.
Right.
And so it automatically saves as you input data. So it's on the cloud. The best way to bookmark it, so it automatically loads, is to go to the three dots up here. So first have the windows, the tabs open that you want to automatically open with your Chrome profile. Click on these three dots over here.
Right.
Go to settings.
Right.
Scroll all the way to the bottom. And then hit use current pages.
That's sent now, Perry.
Okay, looks like Jack needs a new one as well.
I got, it doesn't, it's on startups. It's on startup, it doesn't have use current pages as advanced with an arrow. Let's see here.
Okay, so it starts off like this. Click on open a specific page or set of pages.
Well, what section is it on startup?
Mm-hmm.
I just lost it. I want to
So
advanced.
it's above advanced. It'll probably start off with open the new tab page, but you want to select the open a specific set of pages. And then click use current pages.
Open specific page on startup. I had it and then I lost it. What happened to it? I don't know what happened to it. Let's try this again here.
Let's see, Murray, are you able to find your spreadsheet? Karen, James, Jack, Donald, Kathleen, everybody?
Okay, here.
You found it?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Templates.
Yeah, I think I answered right in the beginning. I got it. I did it at the beginning of the webinar, so yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Very good. Another option is also to click the little star button up here, which will bookmark it. It's not going to make it automatically pop up in your startup tabs, but it will make it easy to find by going to bookmarks. And then you can see it right there. So that's another option, is click the star button, save it, you can have it.
So on open a specific page list, when you do the settings, are you picking a portfolio builder, growth, income, platform, or any one of them, or just this group?
It'll save all the pages that you have opened currently in your browser window.
Okay.
So yeah, for example, with my support at Portfolio Builder, I like to open all these tabs up here to start off the day. So I have the pro track record, the buy and hold track record. I've got good old John Hopkins. I swear that's every time I look, it's just, I've got the drive, so I can find the most recent trade doc, the webinar teaser doc, which is just a big thread of all the teasers. I've got my treasury market, yield curve, repo, cartoon of the day, Twitter feed, and then the core charts that I follow. So you don't have to have that many, but whatever you choose is what you can pick for your startup pages. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and continue. So hopefully everybody's found their spreadsheet. If not, we'll help you find it. Just post in the chat. Definitely good to have the Gmail. I'm not sure if this works well with other email accounts.
Yeah, we haven't had any success recently. So I think it's a Gmail or nothing, unless you have like a G Suite.
Yeah, so you can have a Gmail that doesn't end in Gmail. Okay, great. So let's go through an overview now. So I'm gonna go to view full screen. And then I'm gonna hit escape button. So that's a good trick. Why don't everybody try to do that? Click on view full screen and then hit escape. So view full screen, escape. Another feature, once you have this big box up here, is to hold the control button and use your little mouse to zoom in and out. So sometimes you get the wrong zoom, and that can be frustrating. Okay, I'm going to now click on the US equity position. And little overview we have up top is kind of our control center. So we have SPY in green. This area right here is our palette. This is what we might be trading at any point in time with this part of our portfolio. And so it's color coded so we can allocate capital to whichever section we need. In this case, you should have, this is currently 100% targeted to cash. In the near future, we might edit this to be 0 and jump into the growth ETFs, which I believe will have tremendous growth in the new environment. What's Jack Tan's email? I can try to find the direct link and paste it to him.
I'm looking now.
Okay, so let's pretend we're at the growth stage right now. I'm going to put growth at 100%. I'm going to scroll over to deposits, and we're in March. So I'm going to start off with 30,000 for this portion of the portfolio. Come back over. And it has given me a trade alert. So it's saying to fill this position, with these position sizes based on this weight level. For $30,000, you would purchase 61 shares of XLV, 14 shares of IBB, 7 shares of IHI, 159 of ONLN, and 10 shares of ITA. Let's see what happens if I come over here and increase the deposit to 60,000. Remarkably, it's doubled. So this is helping us calculate how many shares of a given ETF. Now, it would be a pain in the butt to have put options below all 5 ETFs and manage that. So instead, we have invested in long-term put options on the S&P 500. So that's going to act as a broad hedge to give us the downside protection to buy this set of ETFs when the time comes. Okay, so I'm going to build out today's position on a 30,000 block instead of 60. Currently, though, we're not in the growth stage, so we're not ready to do that, and we're in cash. So now we can see it thinks we should have 30,000 in cash, and we do. So there's no trade alert currently. Now, if we scroll below, we have stock trades. This is where we're going to enter buying and selling of stocks. Let's just pretend we wanted to buy 1 share of XLV today. So we put 3/26, 2020, tickers XLV. Now notice if I copied from up here and pasted it to here with Control C, Control V, it moved that color down. I'm gonna hit undo, Control Z. If I hit Control Shift V, it'll just paste the text without any special formatting. Okay, let's just say we wanted to pick up 1 share, and let's say we bought it at 85.64. Okay, so now this says, wait, you shouldn't have a share of XLV. You have a 0% allocation to growth. Okay, let's not upset our calculator. I'm going to sell that share. -1. Okay, so now you can see, you sold your share. You're back to where you should be. This is the only place where you'll use a negative integer or a negative number, is in the share price for buying and selling stocks or ETFs. Nowhere else in the spreadsheet will you need to use a negative number. It's already programmed to understand if it's a credit or a debit in the option side. So if you like now, go ahead and try to go to your US equity position tab, set your allocation to cash, and let's deposit $30,000 into the month of March. After that, come back down, and let's go ahead and try to buy and sell a share of XLV. Now, if you want to put the notes and all that, you can, but that does not matter. All it's really calculating is whether it's positive or negative. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to play with that, and then we'll go forward in the lesson. And what we're going to start doing as well is, with a little work on Ryan and I's side, we can have your spreadsheet linked to automatically in every trade alert. And that's quite easy for us to do. So that'll be another way to have easy access to it. But really, if you really want to be on your A game, then I would either bookmark it by clicking the little star, which you can locate from your bookmarks. Or you can do the trick I just taught you with the tabs or with the settings. Scroll to startup, click on this option, and then use current pages. Okay, so to deposit 30,000, you just scroll to the right. And we have deposits and withdrawals. So some of the features we need to improve upon is being able to transfer from one asset class to the other. Right now, it's not designed to calculate that well. And also the withdrawal portion is not 100% thought through. Option prices being live is being improved as we speak. And you're going to see that to create your monthly P&L, you do have to manually close your starting values. So we're going to start this at 30,000. Now let's just say we ended the month with 29,000. You can see it will calculate you lost 3.3% in March. So that's how I'm closing out and opening up each month, is looking at the closing balance. And I'm including open and closed positions. And then I carry that ending balance to the starting balance of the next month. And that's how you create your monthly P&L per category. Now in this one, I'm going to put equals, scroll over, current value. So I have to move that as we go forward. So that way it will know the real-time value for your open P&L of that month. Okay, so let's try to get to the point now where we've done three things. One, we've made sure we have 100% allocation to cash. Two, we've deposited 30,000 into the month of March. Three, we've added a $30,000 starting balance for March. Four, let's put equals. I believe it's B1. So you'll punch in equals B1, and this will tell you, again, what's your current value. And then the fifth thing you could do is come in here and buy and sell a share of XLV. Antonio has his hand raised. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just looking to find starting balances, and I think I just found it. It's AW column.
That's correct. Yep, let's see. So first you do your deposit. And then we go.
Starting balance is AW, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, so AZ, type in 30,000 on row 7. And then below that, we're going to put equals B1, and that's going to give us the real-time value. So we have a profit loss for that month in real time. Now at the end of March, we have to close that out and then put the closing balance into April.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Let me know when everybody's managed to do each of these steps. So first step is to, again, put in our deposit, 30,000. Oops, sorry, I scrolled past it fast. So in the blue area in March, under deposits, deposit 30,000. Then we scroll over to starting and ending balances. Type in 30,000 for March. In the cell below, in the formula bar, we're going to punch in equals B1. And that's going to give us our return in March, real time. Then we can come down here to the purple area and practice buying and selling a share of XLV. Anthony Layton, please go ahead.
Yeah, what I did, I was working on it earlier, and I had went ahead and put some positions in, and then I went in like in the SPY and the U.S. equity position, and I put my positions in, and then I went and put in my 40% amount up there on deposits. When not actually, I put it on Target SPY, I think, and then when I did that, it added it to the amount I had in positions. So I guess I'll have to start all over. Is that right?
Are you comfortable with me putting your spreadsheet on the screen, or I could look at it?
It don't make any difference, I don't guess.
You don't mind?
No.
Okay. All right, let me see if I see your email. Okay, Tyler got it. Good job, Tyler. Ryan, could you telegram me Anthony's email?
Sure.
And then I can find his sheet, pull it up. Okay, so I'm gonna spy on Tony here. Okay, so this is his sheet. I'm the administrator, so I have access to everybody's sheet. Fair warning on that. Now, I'm not busy spying on anybody. I can barely keep up with my own work. Okay, so let's see. We got something going on here, huh?
Yeah, on U.S. equities, I went over to the options, and I put in the position on the options we have on under option buying.
Okay, so I can see something's happened. So we've this code got broke. This code got broke. Let's just see where we do have some data. So you got your deposit in January. You got some trades in here.
And my other question is, we close that trade today. When it's an open trade, it was today. What do you do anything with the open trade?
Yep. Okay, good. Okay.
My assumption is on each tab you have 40 on U.S. equities, 40% on bonds, and 10% on metals, and 10% on the emerging market position for allocation.
Mm-hmm.
And do you do a separate deposit in each one of those for it?
Yep. Okay, so something's happened to Tony's sheet where he has some errors. So what I'm going to do is try to save the important data he's inputted. Yeah. Now, have you done anything in the other tabs or not yet?
Well,
you've been doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to get it started. Yeah, I did something on the metals and on emerging markets. I entered those trades.
Okay.
But I haven't entered a deposit yet, so it's not balancing up top.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's do this, Ryan. Can we send Tony a fresh sheet? We're going to send you a fresh sheet. I'm going to copy your trades over and get rid of the error codes.
Okay.
And then we'll delete this one out of the admin so it won't be in your drive.
Okay.
No worries, Mike. We'll be working on spreadsheets for quite some time because it's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you got it, it really puts you on a whole new level in terms of being able to manage your portfolio and see what's going on. So Ryan's going to issue you a fresh sheet. Let me know when that is created, Ryan, and I'll try to fix his sheet here. So yeah, so we just got to be careful not changing the spots that aren't supposed to be changed. So I'm not sure exactly what went wrong, but we'll fix it up for you. Okay, Kathleen, thanks. And yeah, not only will we try to continue, obviously, in my boot camp lessons, I'm going to try to bring in a part-time accountant who can help sit here and do this a few times a week so that we can also get some more educational content going through besides the spreadsheet work.
Our cloner's taking a while here. It's on its way pretty soon.
Okay.
There it goes.
Okay, great.
Should I open that up?
Well, how about you just watch for now? But yeah, that'll be your new one. And in a minute, we'll delete this other one. So
Okay.
it won't even be in there. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and let's see. First, I'm going to grab any trades you have in there. So you've got these guys. Now I like to just go straight to the closed. It just saves a little time.
Take it straight to the close without the ending.
Yeah, that's what I like to do just because saves you a little time. When I first designed this, I had seen us having a little more complex portfolio. But as this has gone on, it's proven that the easier it is to follow, the better results everyone gets. Now, in the next upgrade, which should be potentially as early as next Thursday, you'll be able to just paste the contract name into this right here where it says sell price, and it'll have a live quote. So that'll be really nice. Okay, so we got those moved over. Now we sold one.
We sold that one today.
Okay, but that was in the other. Okay, so we got these trades moved. Let's look for his deposits to move. So he's got the 150K deposit. All right. Now, what you will want to do is get your starting balance. Now, you're just going to try to start tracking this from today or from March, or do you want to go back in time? Or
well, I was going to enter the current activity and then I'd gradually go back to January 1 to come forward with it.
Okay. So 150, and then you'll have to see what the return was each month.
Right.
And then this one will be currently at B1, or rather equals B2, sorry.
Now I have to do that for each one of the 4 categories based on the allocation per.
Exactly. So we treat each as its own portfolio. That's right. Okay, now this is showing a big loss because we don't have these current values in here. So you want to put those in there and you have the open value on those. So that's what I'm currently updating every day, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So what I sometimes do until I'm ready to update it, when I first place the trades, is I just say it's break even and just input it. And then, okay, so now we got, so these you'll want to go update every so often. But as soon as we have this upgrade, you just type in the contract code and it's going to pull it out of Thinkorswim automatically.
Yeah, those are down a little bit.
Yeah, those are down about half. So we got some pain in the puts right now. Okay, so we got that moved over. I'm not sure why it's not showing up right there. That's weird. Okay, so now let's go see. So we don't have any broken codes in here. We just got cash, and that looks good. Okay, let's go to your next tab. Okay, bond market. We got some trades here.
That'll be the same allocation.
Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna put the deposit. Oh, that's why I'm doing, it's B1, not B2. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's see what other trades we got in there. So we got your buy and sells. Good. We got 100% bond position. So he says he has 900. Trade alert's 10. So you got the right amount because we want an even lot. So that's good. Now let's go over here. So we got your buying of options. Okay, so great. I'm just going to put these all in the closed section just so you don't have to move them.
Okay.
And again, at first I was thinking we would be managing a lot more complex portfolios here, but at the end of the day, what seems to do the best is super simple, extremely simple. So
Now in the closed section, will it matter if it's short or long, will it?
so it understands to make all of them positive integers.
I mean, if you were, for instance, to sell that first one there, you would just put the sell price and leave the buy price alone till you have to close it, right?
Yeah, so I would just put the starting price that you have, and then that way it'll think it's a flat trade until when you close it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you close it, it'll calculate your real P&L. So what's the one you close? Let's see. So here's the one you closed. So let's get that in there. Let me just pull these. So I'm going to keep these chronological for you. Okay, so let's see. Now you can't cut in this one. So if you notice, I'm copying and pasting and then deleting the duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one is your first expiration. So I'm gonna put this up top. Okay, and I can just delete that one out. Okay, then we got this one over here. Oh, that should have actually been above it, huh? Sorry. Okay, so we have that closed out, 62% loss. Sorry about that. And then we have all these open now. So what I do is put open.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad. I mean, I closed that one and gapped up on that Friday. So I've got some products I haven't posted in there yet on that, but it's not going to quite cover that loss.
Okay, so at least we got this kind of, let's see, I want to put this one here. So I like to just keep it chronological.
Can you just highlight the cells and let it, like you do in Excel?
Yeah, same as Excel. Just, you can't cut with this one. It'll screw up everything. So you got to copy, paste, and delete. Now we have you nice and cleaned up here. All right. How's that looking?
Okay, if the TLT will just kick off here now, we'll be fine.
Yep, now I need
Right.
TLT to do its job, huh? Okay, good. All right, so we can see we're down 3.96%. We can come over here and see our monthly P&L. So deposits you do obviously only when there's a deposit, but you track your balance at the start and end of each month. Right now, this is calling the real-time value. But at the end of the month, I would delete the B1. I just hit delete, type in whatever I really have. Let's say we have a little profit, hopefully. And then I can start that balance into April. So then I come over here, I can see, oh, I had a 1.3, but look, lost 100% April. What do I need to do? Come in here and put equals B1. We're not in April yet, so we'll go back to equals B1. So that's how we're tracking our P&L per asset class, nice and organized.
Take a little getting used to, but I think I can handle it after a while. That's the least of my, we just got to make some money.
Yep. Okay, so we got our allocation here. So we're just slightly overweight. That's fine. Looking good. Okay, let's see what other trades. You got any trades in these other tabs? Yep.
Yep, there's one in the metals. Well, the silver and gold's in the metals tab.
Okay.
And emerging markets tab's got AEM.
Okay, good. Let's just copy it all over here. Now, do you have your deposit?
I did not put a deposit in yet. Which
Okay.
would be 35,000, I think.
Okay. Over here to balance. I'm not filling out the type. Okay, so looks like we got that filled out. Come over here to emerging markets. Same deposit in this one?
Yes.
Okay. Equals B1. And I think he's got a put in there. Okay. That's a put, right? Not a call?
On the EEM, No, it's a 40 put. I'm sorry, 40 call. Not 40 put, 40 put.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got you pretty much filled out now. So this one, just in cash, good. Okay, now I'm gonna go destruct your old sheet so you don't accidentally fill that one out, okay?
There's quite a few of them in there. You want me to clear them out? I can clear them out right now.
Sure.
All right.
Oh boy, SPY 261. Market just closed. TLT hanging in there, 163. For the SPY to have this kind of a move and the bond market's not budging is really, really good news for our portfolio. So a little pain on the puts. But again, when we look at the big picture, not concerned. We got a ton of time on those puts. And if this rally lasts through Friday next week, I will be ready to double down on that. Yeah, normally if the stock market's going up, the bond market goes equally down. And so stock market has flown up from, what was the low print? Something like, I don't know, it was like I think we touched 220 for a little bit. We went up 40 points. Bond market hasn't budged a penny. So yeah, that's extremely bullish for bonds.
So is this buying a result of companies buying their own stock?
Well, the Feds come in and provide a lot of liquidity. So there's some heavy buying going on right now. And I believe it's insiders are selling. They're using their corporations to do stock buybacks. Central banks are doing some buybacks. It's really, this is the sneak out the back door and buy bonds is really the big picture of what's going on here.
Probably all of Congress doing it.
Yeah, well, they sold the second they got the briefing on the COVID-19. So, yeah. Okay, great. So you got a good start on there with your spreadsheet. Glad we got that cleared out. Yeah, Jack says shows who they have on their minds. Yeah. So they'll be teasing everybody who sold their stocks all week on CNBC, and then the market will tank right after they get done teasing everybody. That's what I expect.
Well, they haven't really sold off the techs yet, the tech market, but that's probably will be a spark that'll set the selling back to going, I think. I don't know, but just didn't sell off as strong as everything else.
Yeah, it's all overvalued if we have to shut down the economy for prolonged periods of time, which is what I expect is going to happen pretty quick here. All right, very good. So that was a really good example of showing how to get it all filled out on your spreadsheet. Let me just review on mine, and we'll probably wrap it up. We've been going for about 2 hours. We'll continue this next week.
Yeah, do you have a question, Antonio?
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and find out when I bought these SPY puts, and because I need to put the original option price, the start price on. So where do I do that? Do I go to tdameritrade.com or can I do it on Thinkorswim?
You can do it on Thinkorswim.
Yeah, either one. You want to go to your order history, and you can see the purchase date and also your initial debit.
You can just
where would I find order history? Under Thinkorswim.
I use the line where the on Thinkorswim, just where the values are. Just come down, click on that on your quantity there, and it'll show you when you bought it and what you paid for it.
Yeah, if I go to the monitor tab and look at pull the SPY down.
Activities and positions. Yeah.
Yeah, activities and positions, yeah. And it pulls it down, but it doesn't tell me when I bought it.
All right, go take your cursor and go over to your quantity and just left click on it and it'll show you.
Yep, got it.
It makes it a lot easier than trying to look it up.
Yeah. Yep, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Very
Sorry
nice.
about that. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that was great. We'll have
Yeah,
some
thanks for helping.
we'll have some special boot camps just for Thinkorswim as well. But you got to realize everybody here has different brokers, so sometimes you may have to just call up your broker for any broker specific questions. But good question and great help. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be our lesson today and kind of your homework. Let's try to get your trades in there. So I'll recap. First, you want to go put your deposit per asset. So in this case, I put 30,000 in the US equities. $30,000 into the bonds. $7,500 into the other two categories. And we want to start filling out our balances per month. And we're essentially trying to get our trades into the closed position, even though most of them are open in chronological order. And so I think just getting, I think a good goal for everybody would be try to get your US equity position filled out for next week, which is going to be your deposit and your put options will be filled out here. So we'll continue this next week and also hopefully have that new feature to automatically show the price. Any last questions before we wrap up today's boot camp lesson?
You are recording this, aren't you, Jason?
Yeah, we sure did. And I realize that we need a lot more time on the spreadsheet. So next week, I won't spend an hour going through the coronavirus and the bonus trades. We'll just jump straight into spreadsheet work so we can get more time on it.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And hey, Jason, for those of us who've been around a while, and since some of these, some of our positions have changed over time, should I just kind of pick a day that makes sense to me and start going back to enter? Because, you know, when I started, we had a whole mixture of things. It wasn't just the SPY and et cetera. So
yeah, you know what? A lot of you guys might want to do this is, you know, if you don't care about your past results, maybe start for April as your target. So you'll say, okay, April 1st, here's my account value. Here's my open positions. And then that way you're off to the horse races going forward. Because otherwise it's going to be hard for you to know what your ending balance was.
Oh, yeah.
May have that, but some of you guys have multiple accounts everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great point. And I would strongly suggest trying to start off with, here's your current balance, and maybe start your tracking it into April and beyond.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Very good,
Jason,
thanks.
Jason, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
When you put in your options, you put it in on open options writing or open options buying?
I'm putting them right into the closed option buying to save some time.
Oh, I got you.
That way I don't have to move them from open option buying. When I first designed this, it was considering a much more complex strategy with much more with a larger spectrum of different ETFs per category. And that quickly proved to be way too hard for our average client to follow. So now we're pretty much managing one or a few positions per category. And so because of that, it makes more sense just to plop it right into this purple. And I put the sell price as my buy price until I actually close it. So that way I don't have if you just put the buy price and you don't fill the sell price, it's going to calculate 100% loss.
Yeah.
Now we're adding a feature that will allow you to just type in the contract name and it'll automatically find the price and float that for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Looks like the XLV got happy today.
Yeah, you know, there's a big stock pump. This is an impressive stock pump, that's for sure. I mean, we went from, I think we're up about $40 on the SPY from the low we've seen. But again, this is not healthy economic conditions to be betting up on equities. It's certainly.
It's not at all. And I'm looking at the VIX and it's really not, I mean, it should have gone smash and it didn't. So it's, you know, this is nonsense.
Yeah.
This is Sparta.
So remember, the VIX can go up even if the market's going up. It's the rate of change. So it's an acceleration. So we're accelerating up as fast as we're accelerating down. That's hallmark of massive crashes, not of healthy markets. So we'll see if Steve Lane can hit his 290 target. Jeffrey Gunlight thinks it'll hit 270 before it crashes. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll get you the replay out plus a link to the last spreadsheet lesson. So now we have 2 spreadsheet lessons under our belt. We got more features coming out. And next Thursday, I'm not going to spend any time covering the bonus trades or talking about coronavirus scares. We'll just 100% dedicate 2 hours to filling out our spreadsheet. And what I'll do is I'll continue to fill out this example spreadsheet with all the trades that we've put on in the last 2 weeks. So we can fill it out A to Z and have accurate reporting going into April. Any last questions before we wrap up today's lesson?
Just to comment, I'm getting all these alerts from Wall Street Journal about today's bull market rally, 6%. You're going to have to, I mean, there's, ever since you've been talking, there's been like 3 or 4 articles that have come out I think you'd be very interested in. So you'll have to go take a look.
Okay. Yeah. They're going to pump this as hard as they can for.
Oh my gosh. But the journal, you know, come on. It's crazy. All right.
Right.
Have a great night, guys.
Skyrocketing and markets going up. What a world.
Hey, Tyler.
Hi there. So was able to execute my TLT trades, and then when I go in to do the options, it's showing like limited option power or my amount of $10,000 in parentheses. So I don't know if there's something in a setting or permissions around allowing me to expend so much in options right now.
I would call the broker dealer on that specific question.
Yeah, I had talked to him yesterday and they said that I had level 2 on options. I was pretty much fully okay to do stuff. So I wonder what's going on with that. Could be because the deposit went through yesterday, maybe. I don't know if they're.
Yeah, it might take a few days to clear. I would ask him to place the trade for you and then ask him why it's not going through if it continues to be troublesome for you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you remember I had suggested this too? Double check with the broker. I mean, yeah, with them as well, because I had trouble in the beginning. And what it was is that I had to take it off margin. It had to be done in cash because it's a bond, you know, it's TLT, it's bonds. So that's how I have to trade it, is not through my margin, but through cash. So that's something, because you don't hold it, except for the long one, you have to hold it longer than 30 days. But other than that, the options, you can't, or you're not, because we're not, well, some of them we are, but you may have to check with them on that. That was my hang up through my broker. So, and I had level 2 as well. So I don't know, a couple of things to check on. They didn't even realize it at first, and then they finally got back to me and figured it out. So good luck.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Thank you, Karen. All right, guys. Well, we will see everybody live tomorrow. And thank you so much for your time. Have fun with your spreadsheets, and we'll continue the spreadsheet work next week.